Hello, everybody. Let me first introduce myself. I'm a Dutch investor. I'm a fund manager. Like was said, I started the Commodity Discovery Fund in 2008, and we invest in all kind of international companies, listed companies, who are exploring for new commodities and new metals. Could be gold discovery, could be silver discovery, could be copper discovery. And I'm always looking and searching for the new trends in the world of international finance and in the economy. Because in Tesla, which was a very small company 10 years ago, they just produced their first sports car. And the special thing about this sports car was that it was running on batteries. There was no engine in the car. And that was a breakthrough in the world of cars and automotive. And Elon Musk, who, as you might know, is the CEO of Tesla, he discovered this tiny startup also 10 years ago, and he became the largest shareholder. He invested an awful lot of his personal money into Tesla and made it into the big brand it is now. And I think we could say that that Elon Musk, he's quite a visionary and he's quite a genius. And I think the best example for Elon Musk being a genius is a quote which I use in the book. And it's a quote by the vice chairman of General Motors. And he said in 2007, Robert Lutz, he said in 2007, all these geniuses here at General Motors, they kept telling me that the lithium-ion technology is another 10 years away. And even Toyota agreed with that statement. And there comes Tesla. So this was in 2007, and there comes Tesla. So I said to all my colleagues here at General Motors, how come that this tiny little Californian startup run by guys who know nothing about the car business can do this and we can't? So Elon Musk, with Tesla, he surprised the whole of the car industry. And now I think that's also the reason why the title of our book is called The Tesla Revolution, because the book is not only about Tesla, the book is about the energy revolution. Now, we have to become a little bit more technical, but if we talk about the big revolution in the world of energy, the large energy revolution, I think we're only in the first phase of this revolution. And in the book, we show this graph telling people that the whole revolution in the world of energy might take almost 100 years. So now, this first phase, which will be until 2020, so in 3 years' time, we'll finish the first phase. So if we look at Tesla, if we'll concentrate on Tesla, where is Tesla now? This is a picture from the website of Tesla. I took the picture a few days ago from their website, and Tesla wants to show this picture to show that they can have a range of products we can use to live a better life. The roof tiles of this house are all solar panels, because Elon Musk, he merged his company with Solar City. Solar City was another company which was a startup 10 years ago. And Solar City is a very big producer now of solar panels, but they're all integrated in the roof tiles. So all the roof tile, each and every roof tile is a solar panel. And once you collect all this energy with the roof tiles, you have to store the energy. And to store the energy, they use the power pack, the Tesla power pack. So Tesla is a producer now of the, they also produce the power pack and they produce the car. That makes Tesla a fully electric company. And to build all these cars and to build all these batteries, China is starting to make gigafactories. The example we can see here is a new factory Tesla has been building in the Nevada desert. They need to produce a few 100,000 cars next year, because Tesla has been quite successful by producing the Tesla Model S. I'm a driver of the Tesla Model S myself. It's a wonderful car, it's very fast, it's very quiet. It was still a little bit expensive. The price of a Tesla was $100,000, but now they have just introduced the Tesla Model 3. Tesla Model 3 is as fast as the big Model S. It has the same range. You can drive 300 miles on one battery package. And the good thing is the price is half of the Tesla S. You can buy the Model 3 for a $35,000 to $40,000, and that's why they sold over 400,000 cars in a period of a few weeks. And to build this car, they need the big factory, and that's why they built the Gigafactory in Nevada. Once it's completed, it will have solar panels all over its roof, and it will be fully sustainable. It won't use any oil, gas or coal to create electricity. They will all generate it with their own solar panels. And Tesla has a lot of support by, one could say, all G20 countries. There's an awful lot of support for all these changes because governments and officials, they do understand that we need a new reliable and sustainable way to create energy. And especially here in China, people are not that concerned about climate change, but people are very concerned about the air quality, because you have the big problem here in the major cities with the air pollution. And I think that's one of the main factors that China is such a wonderful supporter of the energy revolution. One wonderful example of this energy revolution here in China is Build Your Dreams. Build Your Dreams, I always call them the Chinese Tesla. They are a producer of electric vehicles, they are a producer of batteries, so they can be compared to Tesla, and I think it's a great example together with Tesla how these new companies, which they all started as small startups 10 years ago, are really changing the world of energy and will make this revolution happen. In the next few years we can expect many more models coming. Of course, the first models, the first electric vehicles which arrived 10 years ago, they were expensive. They couldn't drive very far on one charge, but this all is changing. The cost of the car batteries has come down by 80%, and because the battery pack for a Tesla, which used to cost around $50,000, the cost of a battery pack is now only $10,000. And Elon Musk, he already promised that in a few years' time, the cost of a battery pack for a car like the Model 3 will go down to $5,000. And then these cars will become much more affordable. So even the current Model 3, which they are selling now for around $30,000 to $40,000, the next model in 5 years' time will probably have a cost price of only $20,000 US. And in China and also in India, they are working on smaller electric cars, which will have a cost price of around $5,000 to $10,000. So the big revolution still has to evolve, and that's why we say that the final phases of this revolution, we will see this after 2050, 2060, and then around 2080 we'll have a fully the revolution, the energy revolution will almost be finished, and all energy which will be created will be sustainable energy coming from solar and wind energy. And like I said, the battery cost, the cost of batteries have come down by 80%. That's the blue line. And because of the cost of batteries are coming down so fast, the demand for batteries is picking up very heavily. And in this slide, you can see that the expected demand will be huge, especially after 2020 and after 2030. And because of this huge demand for batteries, there's a lot of development into the world of batteries. And the next phase in batteries, there are so many laboratories all around the world working on the next phase of these batteries, and we'll see some very big improvements in the technique used to build these batteries. And in this slide you can see that the lithium-ion technology which we use now, that the energy density is really getting better and better over time. This means you can drive faster and you can drive extra distance on the same charge. And with the next state of the batteries, the solid state batteries, we will see an increase by factor 2 or 3 in the energy density of the batteries, and this will mean that we will be able to drive 600-700 kilometers on one charge. So also in this respect, the most important phase of this revolution will start within the next 5 to 10 years. And because of all these developments, the experts now expect that around 2040, 30 or 35% of all cars sold worldwide will be electric vehicles. And once you know 100 million cars are sold each year, that means that we'll see sales of 30, 40 million electric cars around 2030 or 2035. In the last part of my talk, I would like to concentrate on the consequences and the opportunities for investors, because as a fund manager, I'm always interested in knowing the answers on the three most important questions. And the three most important questions in my area of expertise are always, which is the most important new trend? And then the second question I want to see answered is, what sectors will benefit most of the new trend? And then the third question is, which companies will benefit most of this new trend? So when we know we'll have this energy revolution, when we know we have the need of many new commodities or metals needed for this revolution, I want to study which companies I want to invest in. Well, I've learned that I should not invest in Tesla at this point, but because Tesla has become a darling for investors, and Tesla has become so popular that the market value of Tesla is now well over the market value of General Motors or even Ford. And if you know that the total production of Tesla Motors is less than 100,000 cars a year, and total production for General Motors is 10 million cars a year, one could say that Tesla is too highly valued at this point. And as an investor, you should always buy low and sell high. So this is a great moment to sell your Tesla shares. So we as an investor are looking for opportunities, things we can buy cheap now, and to benefit for the coming changes in the next few years. And if we concentrate on the metals being used within the batteries, because the Tesla revolution is a revolution in the battery market. The batteries are half of the price of the Tesla. So if you want to know which metals and which elements are needed for the batteries, then you have an important answer in your question where to invest. And if we study the batteries, of course there's lithium in the batteries. We see many investors now taking position in lithium companies. We own a few ourselves. But lithium will not be the problem in the future, because there's enough lithium around. We have a little shortage in production capacity for lithium. That's why prices of lithium are going up now. But in the future, let's say 10 to 20 years, it's quite easy for companies to enlarge their production capacity. So there never will be a shortage of lithium. If we look at another special element, metal needed within the battery, that's cobalt. And cobalt is a very special case because cobalt is much more rare than lithium. Cobalt is mainly produced as a byproduct from copper mines in the copper belt of Africa, Zambia, DRC, the former Congo, Zimbabwe, that's where the cobalt has been found. And it will be very hard to enlarge production capacity for cobalt because there are not that many new cobalt mines to be found. So cobalt is a very interesting place to invest, but it's very hard to find good companies who will benefit from the rising prices of cobalt, because the price of cobalt has been going up quite impressive the last 12 to 18 months. But very few investors understand that this Tesla revolution will greatly benefit copper, because copper, as we all know, has a great conductivity. So in a world where energy must be created and must be moved, the transportation of energy is almost always done through copper. So a lot of copper will be needed to fuel this energy revolution. And another metal which will be very interesting is nickel, because nickel is always used in these batteries and will be used also in the next 5 to 10 years for the batteries. And nickel is getting quite scarce, so we as an investor are always on the hunt for the next nickel discovery. One of the last investments we made was in a new company, Cobalt 27. It just has their IPO. They collected 200 million Canadian dollar in a matter of few weeks. I think we invested $500,000 in this company. And Cobalt 27 has a very simple investment strategy. With all the money they now own, they will buy physical cobalt, store it in a warehouse, wait for higher prices, and then sell it. The most simple business model you could get. And as an investor, because they are listed now on the Canadian Stock Exchange and also on the New York Stock Exchange, it's quite easy for investors to take a position in cobalt now, and that's what we do. Of course, your leadership, your government here in China, they understand the coming changes very well. China is in need of all commodities and all metals. So we've seen a wave of mergers and takeovers by Chinese company buying mines abroad. And they tend to specialize on copper. They're in search of cobalt, they're in search of gold, they're in search of silver, but especially copper. Copper mines are needed, and China needs this and invest an awful lot amount in new copper mines. Well, how does a copper mine look like? Here's the largest copper mine in the world, Escondida. It's a huge open pit in Chile, and we need to find one of these sizes of mines every 15 months to have enough copper in the future, to have enough copper available to be able to have this energy revolution. And I can tell you that not enough copper has been found in the last few years. So if there's a big copper discovery, as an investor, it's very interesting to invest very early stage. Currently, we are invested in SolGold. SolGold is a small company, Australian company listed in London. SOLG is the symbol. They just arranged a dual listing in Toronto on the Toronto Stock Exchange. They have a huge copper discovery in Ecuador, and I think for investors it's still interesting to invest in this company. It's our second largest position within our fund. Why does it make sense to invest in copper stocks? Well, when the copper price goes up, like last year with some 20%, the copper shares, they have a leverage on the copper price. So we saw the average copper share going up almost 80%. So the leverage these kind of shares offer you over the metal, that creates opportunity for investors, and that's why we as investors concentrate on listed companies who have big reserves, big resources still in the ground of the metals which will be needed to fuel this energy revolution in the future. And another example, our largest position is a uranium company. I haven't talked about uranium so far, but besides wind and solar energy, we also will need nuclear power to provide energy, especially in countries like in Europe. In the wintertime, there's no sun, there's hardly any wind, so we'll need nuclear power to give us security of electricity supplies, and that's why many new nuclear power stations are being built worldwide to use us in the change of the world energy mix. Currently, we have some 400 nuclear power stations worldwide in operation. There will be another 300. They're being planned, they're being built. China is building quite a lot of new nuclear power plants. And to fuel these power plants, nuclear power plants, we'll need uranium. And that's why companies who are discovering uranium now are very interesting for investors. Our largest position is NextGen Energy, is a Canadian listed company. NXE is their symbol, and they're responsible for the most valuable uranium find in the last 10 to 20 years. And it's only a matter of time, I think, before a major company will buy NextGen. So for investors, when we answer the three questions, well, the result is we'll need to invest in companies who have many resources in the ground, especially in the areas of copper, cobalt, and nickel and uranium. Thank you.